when you log in to a computer, you have, let's say you created an admin account, you created 2 user accounts. There is actually another account a lot of people don't know of. There's a public account. That public account actually will save files, shortcuts, folders, programs, and all of that on your computer. The hard thing with that is in that public account, you may have stuff stored or saved that you don't realize. We use a public account, or I do, is when you have multiple users on a computer. Say you install Firefox and you want that icon on Firefox to be up here in this top corner. I can go into the public account and go in there and go onto the desktop and say Firefox is located up here in this top corner. I can set it as administrative rights. You cannot change it, edit it, remove it, nothing. It has to stay here in this corner. So when you do backups, again, you want to make sure you know where everything's being saved. You want to back it up. If you have a tower and you can put an initial drive in there, do it. Windows has the feature that you can tell it, I want to back up. What do you want to back up? You want to back up which users? It'll let you pick the users. It will actually do a system restore backup files, I believe also. It does other backups in there also. Or you can go in and actually say, I want to back up these select folders. You can go in there and back up just photos. You can back up whatever you want. But the best practice would be back up the user accounts. Because that's documents, that's photos, that's everything. And best practice for that is to make sure you have it all somewhat cleaned up. Because the worst thing you want to do, especially at home, is go to restore that computer and your teenager is on there, your other child's on there with a separate account. They may have done homework. They might have done essays. They might have done some kind of final type of reports on that computer. You don't know. There's a lot of important information that could be saved on that computer that you don't know. It may need to be still used. So if you set these backups up so that they run automatic and use an external device and put it away and store it, you can. Now, to go a little bit more into this, because I've gone on long enough that I hope people truly understand the key importance of having something to back up, is with this enclosure. This is an old mechanical drive. You can still use the new drives, the new solid states. I would recommend a solid state over a mechanical because it doesn't have moving parts. Because this is a device you will be moving. You will be moving it around, you'll be putting it in your drawer. You know, even if it's as simple as you leaving it near your computer, that I don't really recommend. I recommend you remove it, put it in another room somewhere. Solid states have no mechanical parts. They're really cheap right now. Only default problem that I have with these is size. Right now, I see you can get about a 2 terabyte, so it's not too bad. It's now something I could actually recommend people to buy. In the old days, they were just too small. They were basically your OS and a few little things, and that was it to speed up. They're getting to better sizes, getting to better speeds. And again, here is the mechanical drive. Same connection, same ports. I covered this in my video about the STA drive, or STA standards and drives. In there, I also mentioned I have a M.2. Look at that video, because I've left it over in the other area. It's a small little drive, really tiny, smaller than this, just little tiny drive, basically plugs in. Only limitation you will have with a USB is your actual USB style. This should be a USB 3. This is the other end. It just simply plugs in. There are ones that are USB-C, the round ones, with a higher data rate. Oh, 1 second. Back to USB-C, has a higher data rate. It'll be a little faster. For USB-C, you probably do want to go with a solid state drive for the quicker speeds. Problem with solid states, they run hotter. If you're doing a backup situation, you have it setting out, you let it back up for an hour, 2 hours, you unplug it, cools down, it's not too bad. I had a problem with the laptop, just got too hot, not enough ventilation, so I had to take one out. So that's the basic information with the solid states on heat wise. It's like I'm saying, it's very important you do these backups. Home users, small business users, it's very, very important you do this. This isn't something you need an IT professional for. This isn't, you don't need a service. Right now, everybody's advertising these cloud backups, cloud backup, cloud backup. It's saved to the cloud, and that's all good and dandy. Except for one thing. Do you remember your cloud backup username and password always? If that system crashes, do you have it written down? Do you have it in a secure location? That is another thing a lot of IT professionals have always brought up, is writing down your username and passwords and sticking them to your computer or sticking them somewhere is not acceptable. Because what is the point of having the password if it's just right there? You might as well have left it open. Anybody coming through, seeing your workstation, can see your username and password. So, best practice, don't do that. So, not to mention, on a cloud situation, you're saving it to someone's server. You're saving it out to the world. I'm sure you've heard of all the hacks and cracks and people's accounts that have gotten into. If you're in a business environment and you're into stuff, is that really something you want to take a chance on? You can do it. I won't say not to do it. This is a good, reliable secondary backup to it. I would not recommend you use a cloud backup and a cloud backup only. For one, you got to pay for how much data you will use for backing that up. If you're backing up 10 terabytes, you're going to pay a lot of money per month to have 10 terabytes out on the web. That's just a factor I want to bring out. Then you buy a drive, you back that up. You should be good and safe, no problems. If something happens to that data or those servers, wherever they're stored at, that's one of my fears, is you have your data backed up somewhere in New Orleans, Tennessee, hurricane comes through, wipes everything out, you don't know. You had it backed up on the cloud, but how was that cloud actually secure? They'll promise you it's redundant over so many servers and it's redundant over here and over there, but my recommendation, have your physical second device independent storage where you are, where you physically are. Because here's the ultimate thing. Let's say that hurricane or whatever that I described actually hits you, takes your system out, takes your internet out. You get a system up and running, you need your data. You're running your business physically here. You don't have internet. How do you get your data? I know it's 2020, that, everything's supposed to be worked out, everything's supposed to be good, but this is where it goes back to the old standard practices of making sure you have your data. Like I mentioned in the memory video, I see businesses doing things that are not really best standard practice. That is not best for you. That's why I'm making this video. That's why it's going very long. It'll probably end up going quite a bit longer because I want to impress this point, because I have had people where I've made these drives say, go home, back up your data, do this, secure it, put it away. And within a year, 6 months, 2 years, they come back, thank you, I'm so glad you did that. So if I've had that situation already, I'm hoping you've never had it and you won't ever have that situation. But if you have something like this, it makes your life a lot easier. It can save you weeks or months of recovery time. Like I said, this is just an old drive out of an old laptop that broke down. You can use these as long as it's large enough for the data you want to back up. There's tools out there you can download. Scan the drive, detect the drive, wipe the drive, do a total wipe, do, right over it 20 times. There's VOD wipe software. There's all kinds of stuff you can do to wipe this drive completely clean, put it in something like that, do a backup drive, and you'll have no problems. Or if you're really worried about it, or you don't think you can do it, or you think you might have issues, go on out to a big box store, pick one up. The big box stores have them. So it's not a major problem to do this. Like I said, most people have these drives probably all laying around. As you could tell from on my desk, I've got a brand new one still in the package. Never been opened. Got solid states just sitting here. Yes, I bought a couple for video purposes, so they're here. I just want to press this point that this is critical information to do your backup. I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's not that important, it's not. But when that time comes, it is important. If you can go out to a big box store, pay $100, $200 to get a nice drive, do a simple copy, backup, image, whatever you want to do on that computer to store your data. It's really not that hard. You plug this in, you format it, it'll give it a drive letter. Once you get that drive letter, remember that drive letter. Most likely, if you have just a box store computer, it's going to give it like a D or an F or an E drive, depending on if you have card readers or other functional devices in that computer. It'll give it a drive letter. All you truthfully have to do a backup is, let's say you want your photos. You know all your photos are saved on your desktop or in your user account under Photos. You go to that file, right click on it, click Copy. Make sure you hit Copy. Go to this drive. If it's D drive, E drive, open it up just like you would open up your hard drive to view other folders or other files. Right click, hit Paste. It'll do all the work for you. It'll tell you how long it's going to take. It'll tell you how many files it's moving, what size it is. If you go into more details, there's a normal little arrow down below. It'll tell you even what the transfer rate is, how fast it's copying. A lot of that information is not really that important, but it is. You may want to know how much data you're actually writing to this drive. You may not have looked at the properties. That will tell you. That will tell you how long it's going to take you. If you have 30 photos, it won't take you very long. If you have 12,000 photos, it's going to take you a while. So when it tells you, okay, it takes 3 hours, the next time you do it, you can actually account for those 3 hours of time. So next month it rolls around, you want to go to bed at 10, you want to do it before you go to bed, you know it's going to take at least 3 hours. So you go in there at 6 o'clock, plug that drive in, copy, paste, let it do its thing. The other thing that really is an interesting factor when you do that is if you already have folders or photos or documents that you've already copied and you hit paste, it will pop up with a little box that says, do you want to override these or ignore or skip? You can actually just skip the ones you already have. It'll go through and copy all the other ones, all your new stuff. Because let's say you do your backup. Then you go and you copy your photos over from your phone, from your camera, from your husband's camera, your wife's camera, your kids' cameras, you went on a trip, you move all these things over. But what if you did not do one or two of those other cameras or phones or whatever else you have photos on before you did the backup? A lot of times when you do that, it auto sorts and puts them in different places, and you can sort it by when you inserted them and then copy and highlight and all that stuff. Or if you just did the copy and you do the paste, it'll tell you if you already have them and you can skip them. So I know a lot of people get really nervous about doing that backup. I know some people I know got real nervous. They actually just have two of these. They wipe one out, copy over their data, so they have the new one and the old one. The next month, the old one, they wipe that one out, copy the data over, so that way they know the original last backup, they will not mess up. That is a good practice. If you really get nervous about what you're doing, let's say you're doing it for a business and you have animations and you have web designs and you have all kinds of videos and animations and all kinds of things that took you a lot of hours and hours and hours to do, you can do that. Especially if it's just $200 a drive. Because if you send that off to a data recovery place, it's going to be probably thousands of dollars to get data recovery done. because in some situations they physically have to take the whole drive apart and take the discs out, scan the discs, and there's software that then pieces it all back together and spits it all out. There might be chances of total corruption. You might get 50% of your data back, 80% of your data back, or whatever. I don't want you to lose your data. This is why I'm really pressing a lot on this video. This is why it's going long. Leave your comments down below. Make sure you hit subscribe. But I wanted to cover this and actually show you, let you see your options. I don't want people to think doing a backup's really difficult. It's not difficult. In Windows, again, it has the features for you to do a backup. In there, it gives you the options of, you want to keep just the last backup? Do you want it to manage how much space you have, to know how many you want? It has all those options for you. So I just wanted to press that, wanted to make sure, even if you do that and you have a secondary drive in your tower, my recommendation, get a standalone, get an independent. You can actually just copy that drive to this drive. So in case you have a critical failure in this tower, it melts down, you have a water leak, or it floods, or something major happens to this, you have your data. I think I've mentioned it enough. I want to end this video here. I want to thank everybody. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Alrighty.